Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today I am not in the studio, and where I'm at, my service is very, very bad. So please forgive us if we break up or have trouble tonight with our Wi-Fi. We're trying to keep the show going. We've been out in the community for National Night Out. Phenomenal event in Bayview. I know over in the Fillmore with Mo Magic, Collective Impact, and the family over at Ellie Hill Hutch is having a phenomenal event as well. But we had to go ahead and get into the studio, and I don't know what's going on because I'm not on my computer, but my screen just went blank on me. But let me see if I can get back into this. What is going on? All right, hopefully you guys can see me. I'm trying to figure this out, but I'm having troubles. This both sides of the conversation is always something. But with that being said, we had a phenomenal night out with community resources. Nice to see community, a number of the community organizations coming out, engaging with the community, sharing the resources and information as we continue to do our part here at both sides of the conversation to make sure that the community get the resources, the information, and intentionally educate our community of what's going on. We're going to continue to do that stuff. Tonight, we have two phenomenal hidden gems. We had a third one that had canceled, but we have two phenomenal hidden gems tonight. So we'll be getting to them shortly as we just run through tonight's community announcement announcement. As I announced earlier, it was National Night Out. This is an event where the community police awareness event across the United States is happening. Every community is doing it, just a way to get the resources and have engagement with the law enforcement as well as community. So what a phenomenal night. As y'all saw, we was live in Bayview trying to catch some of the footage and information. Want to give a huge shout out to the Feline Finesse Dance Group. Those young ladies did a phenomenal job performing tonight, and nice seeing all the community leaders and organizations out there with community night. So phenomenal event. I got to check in with Mo Magic and see what happened over there in Fillmore, but I know it was a great event and everybody was out there. Also want to give announcements to the community. I know people have been concerned trying to find out what's going on. The federal housing protection have ended. So millions of Americans across this country are going to be impacted, and some are going to face evictions while our lawmakers are on recess. How phenomenal is that, huh? The lawmakers are out on vacation in summer recess, and we have millions of homeowners who are impacted by the federal housing protection who could possibly face eviction. So a lot of people have been sending emails and concerns to their elected officials to get them to do some kind of emergency moratorium to help protect those in need. Right now, our people in America are being impacted, and these policies and events take place to impact our community tremendously. So hopefully our lawmakers could do something swift, do something emergency to help those in need. But it's a phenomenon that just happened, and it's so many people that's going to be impacted. The number of homelessness is going to increase, a lot of crimes. So definitely we hope our lawmakers could work bipartisanly and get something passed so that people in this country could get some support. So had to put that out. This weekend, there will be another backpack giveaway with Mo Magic at Ella Hill Hutch. We will be out there. Our Both Sides of Conversation team will be out there. We'll be helping distribute the backpacks, connect with community. So this Saturday from 10 to 2, 1050 McAllister Street in San Francisco, Mo Magic, Collective Impact. Our mayor should be stopping by. They'll be having food, music, a number of community organizations out. Hopefully you and your family could get out, get some backpacks, get some resources from community. We'll be out there participating in that event, as well as we'll have our continued first Saturday every month, our homeless feed. We will be feeding the homeless what the city eats. We'll be there at 10 o'clock as well. I'll be there. I'll be moving around, but our team will be at the Collective Impact location. But we will be with the city eats. We'll continue to do our food distribution. If you would like to participate and be a volunteer, help give back, please go to thecityeats.org. Sign up for this Saturday's homeless food giveaway. We'll definitely be looking for all the community support as we'll continue to push those efforts out to community. With that being said, the following week, next Saturday, B Magic will be sponsoring the 18th annual Backpack School Celebration giveaway. It will be at 155 Jennings Street at Cargo Way from 11 to 2 p.m. They'll have food, free haircuts, uniforms, bike raffle, resource fairs, COVID testing, and also vaccinations will be happening at the site as well. If you would like to register, please go to B Magic, Bayview Magic, sign up, and we'll put the information on the screen for everyone. That is next Saturday, August the 14th, 11 to 2 p.m. We'll be giving out more backpacks. We'll be in the community with our B Magic family, supporting their efforts as well. The mask mandates in the Bay Area has, as you all been seeing, has been increased. Now all the Bay Area locations are reinstating the mask indoor, out there, whether you vaccinated or not vaccinated. Definitely they put that policy back in place as more and more of the COVID cases are starting to increase. I just heard in the East Bay, one of the school districts, 100 kids or something was impacted by COVID. So they talking about closing that school district back down. We know our kids are getting close here in San Francisco and throughout the Bay Area in the next couple of weeks going back. So we'll be definitely trying to get more information out to community. I know there's a lot of community concerns, and we'll definitely be trying to get some of those professionals to come on and talk about that. Our San Francisco libraries are reopening back again for in-person services starting 9/7. The main library will go back back to their normal operating hours. There's a number of the community branches that will be opening back up as well. So please go to the San Francisco Library for more information to find out what branch is opening in your location and what times. Some of the areas times are still on the COVID hours, but please go to sflibrary.gov and check out the branches, locations, and times. They're going to be opening back up for community for our young people to get access to those books and resources at the library. This Thursday, we'll have another one of our educational Thursday presentations. We're going to be talking about the DACA, what's going on with the immigration. We got Brother Sanchez coming on and going to be talking about all of that, breaking it down for community. So looking forward to that presentation this Thursday. And then this Sunday at 2 p.m., we will continue our Sunday conversation as we'll be talking to the Black and brown parents of our community, talking about this back to school conversation. What does it look like? What the COVID numbers? How are they feeling? Should be a great conversation. We'll be talking with a number of parents and community. So join us this Sunday as we'll continue to have more and more conversations. This upcoming for the month, we are still looking for panelists on 8/15. We do have a couple of doctors who registered. We are looking for people from DPH, some of our medical professionals, to come on and talk about the COVID-19 vaccinations, talk about some of the myths. I know there's been a lot of things going around community that's not necessarily true, but we're going to have them come on for 8/15. If you have that type of background and you want to talk about the vaccination, please sign up on our website at bothsidesoftheconversation.org or www.bsotc.org, and we'll get you on as one of the panelists. And then August 22nd, on that Sunday, we're going to be talking about colorism. We know this is an important conversation for our community. If that's you and you want to talk about this and you could bring some perspective to this conversation, please sign up as well. And then the last Sunday on 8/29, we'll be talking about drug abuse and drug addiction. We know here in San Francisco, fentanyl has took away about 700 people. It is going around our community, impacting our community. So we'll be talking with some of the community organizations. How do we protect our community? How do we educate our community? And talk to some of the people who've been through that experience that can really help educate community. So looking forward to that. And with that being said, enough of me. It is time to jump into tonight's Hidden Gem segment. We're going to go ahead and bring up our first Hidden Gem tonight. This sister is powerful, doing some amazing stuff for community, coming out of Southern California. So we're going to bring up Miss Darlene Burke. Good evening, Queen. Uh-oh, you got to unmute yourself. You're having a John Henry moment. It's okay. It's both sides of the conversation.
It's all good. How are you, brother?
Hanging in. Just blessed to have you here and let community know the work that you're doing and how to connect with you and things of that nature. So just happy to have you here tonight.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the platform to share my story and the work that 10 Toes In is doing in the community and in the prison. So we appreciate you and the work that you're also doing. So I guess I'll go ahead and tell a little bit about myself. Well, as our brother John said, my name is Darlene Burke, and on a personal note, I'm a God-fearing woman. I'm the mother of 3 beautiful children and 2 beautiful granddaughters. And I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles and graduated from UCLA. And professionally, I'm a reentry and relationship consultant. And I, facilitate workshops on incarceration, reentry, and relationships with the California Department of Corrections, as well as the California Parole Office, and also the Los Angeles County of Education, as well as nonprofit organizations, universities, and colleges. And I am the founder and executive director of 10 Toes In, which is my baby, which is dear to my heart. And I don't know, I guess, John, you want me to go further into the programs that we offer with 10 Toes In?
Yes, definitely. Educate the community. Tell us what you're doing. I want to hear all about it, and then I'll ask you some questions afterward.
Okay, brother. All right. So 10 Toes In is a mentorship and a domestic violence prevention program. We support, we educate, and we empower couples during and after incarceration. We also assist our brothers coming home from prison or jail to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their female partners. So with all of that said, what we do in the community, we have support groups. So the first one is our mentorship support group with our formerly incarcerated brothers. So we actually meet once a month, every second Saturday of the month, from 9 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. at our office space, which is located at 7625 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. So we are definitely in the neighborhood. So this space is created for our brothers to feel safe, to be able to share their reentry journey with one another, to talk about the challenges they may face, as well as the successes that they have on this journey. They also serve as accountability partners for each other, as well as sharing resources with each other and networking, which is huge with the 10 Toes In brothers. And I can proudly say, brother, that we have 85% of our brothers that are gainfully employed or are business owners. So I'm very happy about that. We also have a sister support group meeting for our sisters who are involved with incarcerated or a formerly incarcerated brother. And so we meet every second Tuesday of the month from 7 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. at our office space on Central. And this space was created for women because you know, it's a very tough journey to be with someone who is incarcerated because, of course, you're not there with them. And then, you know, the stigma of the woman who's involved with this person. We're judged very harshly, you know, by family, friends, co-workers, church members. And there's really no safe space for us to go and talk about the dynamics of our unique relationship. So 10 Toes In provides that space for women to do that. And not only do we meet and fellowship and gather together, but it really is a sisterhood. I mean, these women connect outside of the group as well. So we have that in-person meeting, and then we have a virtual sister support group meeting that meets virtually on Zoom every third Tuesday of the month from 7 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. And this is a really cool group of women because it's a national level. So we have sisters from Boston, Massachusetts to Seattle, Washington, right? And so they're actually coming on and they're talking about their journey with their partner. So it's, you know, different women, different places of where they live at. However, you know, they're going through the same thing on this unique journey. We also have a couple support group, and this is bringing together our formerly incarcerated brother and their female partner, and we provide the space for them to talk about what they go through. I mean, because things are different, you know, once, you know, before you leave prison and once you come home, you know, it's a different type of get down. It's a different journey. So we talk about that, we educate. And the coolest thing about them is they feel like, man, we're not alone on this, because it can be challenging. But once they realize other couples are going through what they go through, it kind of lightens the load for them. So those are the things that we do in the community. And trust me, it's a lot, you know, but it's definitely rewarding. The other thing that we have is our intimate relationships curriculum, which is at Avenal State Prison and was at Pleasant Valley State Prison. It's a 6-month curriculum where I go in and I teach our brothers behind the wall how to be in successful, healthy, intimate relationships. And we also teach them how to re-enter society successfully, prepare them for coming home. I don't care if they have a 200-year sentence. I don't care if they're a lifer without the possibility of parole. I tell them, you're coming home. You will be home. So, you know, I'm there to give them light, to educate them and support them. And that's what 10 Toes In does. And you may ask, why would you create this type of organization? And first and foremost, also, this, we address the component of reentry that typically isn't spoken about, which is the intimate relationships piece of reentry and incarceration. So I have lived experience with it. I was with my best friend of over 30 years. We fell in love while he was serving a 25-year to life sentence in a California prison. I was looking for a support group for women like myself. I could not find one, so I created 10 Toes In. I wanted women to be able to choose who they wanted to love and be in a space where they were safe to discuss that relationship and get, nuggets of wisdom for other women who were, on that journey as well. So that is why I created 10 Toes In. That was 7 years ago. We became a nonprofit organization, January of 2015. So right now we're just continuing to push. We're a family, we're a village, and doing what we have to do to change lives.
Wow, powerful, powerful stuff. I don't even know where to start at. It's a lot I want to ask, but I think the approach that you're doing is very, very phenomenal. And I do a lot of this work in our juvenile hall. I've done work at our county jail, and I think I've always had this understanding that inside the walls, there's a lot of work, right? There's a lot of healing work that's happening. There's a lot of self accountability, a lot of things happening inside the walls. But a lot of this type of stuff is not happening in the community, right? So I'm always looking at how do we get these models and we bring it to the community with our young people? Because when you start talking about relationships, I think that's very, very powerful. Our community has a big issue when it comes to building relationships, not only just for male and female, but just community relationships, individual relationships. I think that's very, very important work, and we need to have that. So having that curriculum to do that is very, very powerful. Having those vulnerable conversations, because we can't grow as a community. We can't evolve. We can't do the things that we need to do if we don't have those relationship conversations. And sometimes in our community, when you start talking about relationships, it's like talking about mental health and everything else. They don't want to have those.
It's taboo, brother. It's taboo. They don't want to talk about that. Right. And the ironic thing is that's one of the number one reasons why the brothers are going back into prison is domestic violence. Whether they did something or didn't, that's why they're going back in, and it's unfortunate.
No, that's definitely real. I mean, it is a serious situation. I mean, I've just over the last couple of weeks, knowing so many people who've been impacted by domestic violence, from murder, suicides, husbands coming home, killing their wives, killing kids, just it's happening way too much. So I think, what you're doing is very, very important work, because we believe here at both sides of the conversation, the pathway to healing is through communication. And having those difficult conversations definitely start pulling our community as we talk about Black love, brown love. What does that look like? And, sometimes, having those difficult conversations with the males in our community are just not happening. So definitely feeling that you're doing that. But then when you talk about reentry, I just want to take a step and go into this reentry conversation, because I think it's very important for community to understand this work. And a lot of times when we're talking about people who've been incarcerated coming back into the community, sometimes our community don't understand what that transition looks like and how they are impacted, right? And how as community we could definitely support them. People come home, they don't have driver's license, social security cards, birth certificates, right? Sometimes they don't even know how to use this digital currency, how to use mobile apps, how to use cell phones. A lot of times the things that we use day to day, sometimes they don't understand. People that are incarcerated, that's a struggle or a challenge for them. So just making sure that, community understands like some of those challenges. So I want to just, have you kind of talk about some of those challenges that you've seen, whether it's getting licensed or, RNing or just, housing, things of that nature. What are some of the things that you see impact from a reentry standpoint?
Okay, so I'm gonna come from a different standpoint, right? The biggest thing that I see with our brothers is, number one, they're overwhelmed, right? Coming out, this is a brand new world for them. The brothers that we have as a part of 10 Toes In, they have served from 15 years to 43 and a half years, and 90% of them were lifers, right? So coming home, it's a different culture, it's a different world, things have changed, family has changed. So they're like, what do I do? It's frustrating. They're going into transitional housing right now, and they're put on blackout days or what have you. So they can't go get the driver's license. They can't go get the social security cards. They can't go and start their lives. So that's very frustrating for them. And I'm gonna come from the relationship standpoint. Let's take you're in a relationship or you were married before you left prison or jail. So now you're coming home to a whole set of expectations, because your partner is going to think that you guys, as soon as you come home, you're going to be walking hand in hand on that beach. Okay? Or you guys are going to go out and you're going to be looking lovingly into each other's eyes, but you're not thinking about that. You think about, man, I gotta learn the lay of the land, because I don't know these people out here. My brothers have problems going, when they first come out, they don't want to go in the grocery stores. They don't want to go on the bus, because you got to think about the mentality is, I'm on the prison yard. Okay. I don't know who's surrounding me. So I'm bringing that mentality out to the streets. So those types of things. And another, I'm not going to say obstacle, but another challenge that they may have is balancing. You coming home, mom wants to see you, friends want to see you, the church family wants to see you, and your girl who's been riding for you for 20 years, she's like, where's our time? Where's our time? So now he has to figure out, oh my goodness, what do I do? Because most of my brothers, they had a plan before they left prison. They may have even had it written down, but they had a plan. But a lot of times those plans don't work out, because behind the wall is theory. When you come into the community, it's practice. This is real life right here. So you got to figure it out and kind of figure it out quick. And as men, because I deal with the brothers, they don't want you to see the flaws in their armor. They don't want you to see the holes in their armor. They want you to see them in a certain light. And when you don't, that's frustrating for them. So you are dealing with men who are, well, in my case, because I deal with the brothers, you are dealing with men who are coming from a traumatic experience, right? And they probably had a traumatic childhood. So the women dealing with that, they have to handle them with kid gloves. And the reentry process is a process. The journey is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You have brothers coming home thinking that they can catch up for 23 years, 25 years. It's not going to happen. You have to live your life from the day that you walked out that prison gate and keep it pushing, and understand that you are human. Mistakes are going to be made, but you are free. Any okay day you have behind the wall, any bad day you have on the streets, the bad day on the streets is going to trump behind the wall, because you're home. You're home and you have so many options available to you. Another thing is they're not used to, making choices. Because there, you were told what to do, how to do, when to do, for how long to do it for. Out here, you really don't have that. So now you got to figure out, okay, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? And the women, their women are their teachers. So they're going to depend on their women to help them navigate through life, help them navigate through their challenges. And that's what the sisters need to understand. This is what you're signing up for. You are signing up for this, but it can be a beautiful thing as long as you guys are in this for the right reasons. You realize that a relationship takes work, and you realize that this brother is coming home from a traumatic experience, and understand that, and everything will be okay.
Wow. Very powerful, very well put. That is very real. The PTSD that people deal with, being locked up and reentering back to the community, can definitely be traumatic on a person's mental health, and just the capacity of being in community. So definitely community, this is why it's important to have these organizations that are doing that work, but as community, having that compassion, having that humility when our reentry folks are coming back home, being patient, because you're right, things are moving fast. They used to be in a secluded area, being, in a controlled environment, and then coming out here. I didn't even think about riding in public transit and all that things of that nature. But just navigating the systems could be a challenge for them. So as community, we could do our part to support and have a little understanding. And like you said, the relationship part, now I see how it's all tying in. It's very important. If you're a person out there and someone's reentry and coming back into the community, and you're dealing with that individual, definitely being patient and having a little understanding, because at that point you are kind of the leader if you've never been there to help navigate. So definitely you want to keep those walls and lines of communication open, and being able to know how to deal with that, because it is a lot of stress, and people, they used to sleeping patterns and different things of that nature. So to come home and things are just different, moving faster, it can be definitely a challenge. So definitely that's very powerful. And then the last thing is just getting the resources and the support. I know you say you're all a nonprofit. how hard is it? I know there's a lot of money invested into these nonprofits in the community, but what kind of support is definitely on top of what's going on still needed in some of the areas? Because I know you're doing this work, and every day you learn something new that a person that's coming back home might need. How easy is it to leverage those type of resources, and then for community, what can community do to help out support those efforts?
Okay, so as far as helping our brothers is concerned, we're connected with other organizations like Mass Liberation. They're really good out here in Southern California. We're partners with them, so they actually do a reentry boot camp for the brothers coming home, teaching them how to go out there, get the driver's license, social security cards, and teaching them about life skills. Friends Outside is another one that we partner up with. They have the Dad's Back Academy that helps fathers and even gives them stipends and things of that nature. So like when our brothers come to us, we have connections for them for jobs, for housing, academia, family reunification, whatever they may need. 10 Toes In offers that. Right now, I'm going to go to what 10 Toes In needs, to keep our wheels pushing, right? Because, as a nonprofit organization, you still need dollars, right, to keep the doors open. And I really am looking for great people who have a heartstring to this work, right, that can volunteer. With 10 Toes In. But when I say volunteer, I mean professionally volunteer. Like if you say you're going to be there at 8 o'clock, we expecting you there at 8 o'clock because there's so much work to be done. Benefactors to give money, donations. That's what we need. I mean, we would love to do retreats, for our brothers and our sisters. We would love to take cruises around the harbor with our brothers and sisters. I mean, this is therapy. This is counseling. I even counsel couples, with 10 Toes In, but I'm not getting funds for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I can, be able to get donations to come in to help us do the work, that would be so greatly appreciated. But I mean, the work is going to continue one way or the other. Because I said, if they don't let us through the front door, we coming through the back door. One way or the other. We climbing through the window, but we coming. Okay, we coming. So understand that. So
I like that. I like that motto. That's the motto I have. It's hard to get those resources, but we're not gonna stop the work because it's really about community. But definitely those financial supports do move organizations forward. And again, I'm just happy that you said that because I'm a big advocate for mental health, and I think in our community, mental health is going to look a lot of different ways. And you're right, maybe just going on that cruise around the bay, or doing that hike, or doing something different to engage with some of these individuals in our community is needed because mental health is different for everybody. Some people are going to have the counselor one-on-one, and that's going to be great for them. Some people it's going to be the arts. They're going to need music and different things of that nature. So definitely having these different ideals, I'm all in for it. I'm at this point where I'm just saying, hey, mental health is so important in our community. The amount of money we invest in COVID, we need to be investing in mental health. We need to get the services to the community. And I think a lot of times that's what's lacking, the actual resources hitting the community. I don't know if it's mobile wellness centers. I don't know what it's going to take, how we're going to do it. I got a few ideas that we could definitely look into. But I think, like you said, doing some of these different things that people might not look at as a mental health therapy might be the way. So definitely want to get doing some of that.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention this. I had a couple today that I was counseling, and our brother did 23 years on level 4. Okay. So he never went down to 3, 2, or 1. He never wants to stay at home. He always wants to go to the beach because that is his therapy. And so I had to explain that to his wife, who's very receptive, because sometimes that third person validation makes a difference. And I told her, I said, honey, he's used to being around certain situations that were traumatic. So he doesn't want to feel boxed in. So when he goes to the beach, he feels like he's escaping. He feels like, the waves are taking him away. And so I told her, give him his time, let him fly. And that's what I tell our sisters, let our brothers fly. He's going to show you who he is. Trust me. You're not going to stop him from doing anything he wants to do. But for the most part, our brothers are about their business and taking care of their families. But you got to understand what he's dealt with. You don't know what he went through while he was incarcerated, what he endured, what he had to do to survive. So,
man, phenomenal information. We're going to have a relationship conversation coming up here on both sides of the conversation, part 2 and 3 of it. We had one earlier in the year. But I think some of these sisters in the community need to hear this because we got a lot of issues with relationships in our community. So I'm going to invite you back on, and maybe you could bring some of that good curriculum and bring some of your expertise because they don't want to hear from me. I be trying to get these sisters gems. But
right.
when I said I'm sexist and all of this stuff, so I need to have you come on and lay some of these sisters up and tell them how to deal with some of the brothers in the community. But thank you, Ms. Darlene, for coming on, giving up your time, blessing our platform. We have a good following of people down in LA, so I'm gonna definitely make sure that we connect your organization with some of the resources and people that we connect with down there. Looking forward to having you come on, but this is the Hidden Gem segment. Now you are not so hidden. We're gonna do everything we can to promote what you're doing and get people connected. And one thing that I do like about the Zoom and being able to do stuff virtually is you could grab people from many geographical areas and bring people a part of what you're doing. So that is definitely cool. So if you have any flyers or any events that you have coming up and you want to get some people from up here in the Bay Area to join your Zooms or conversations or connect with some of these organizations, please get us the flyers and we'll get them out to the community and make sure that we can connect community with some of the work that you're doing so they can be blessed and impacted with what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. And like I said, we'll be reaching out to you for our relationship conversation.
I'm ready. Let me know.
Right on the top. I'll put your name right on the top. Get this sister in here. Come talk to these sisters.
Because I'm gonna trust me, I'm gonna be raw and uncut. Okay.
Right. That's how we want it. We want it real. We don't want none of that fake stuff. We want it all genuine. But thank you for coming on tonight. If you can hang on at the end, we'll definitely have a question. But I'm gonna get my brother Oscar up here because I know he's trying to get to the next community feed as he's out in the community blessing the people. But thank you very much, and we'll get you back on in the second year.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, y'all. With that being said, we're going to go to our second hidden gem, our final hidden gem tonight before we have our community question for the night. But I want to bring this brother up because he's also doing the work, blessing our people, blessing the young people, doing stuff for the community. He was just out in the community celebrating National Night, making sure that the resources are getting out there. He does a phenomenal job. I mean, he got so much stuff he's doing, but I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself. Brother Oscar, man, thank you for being one of the community ambassadors, pillars of our community. Your story, your testimony is so powerful. A lot of people know you, a lot of people don't. But tonight's night, go ahead, Oscar, and let them know who you are, what you're doing, good brother.
I want to say, first of all, thank you, John, what I'm saying, for all the work that you're doing and creating this platform for folks like us. So big ups to you and everybody that's put together both sides of the conversation. I think it's amazing to acknowledge people. What are they doing in the community? Because there's just so much. And what's interesting is that the West Coast, particularly the Bay Area, there's a lot of people, all over the place, but saturated with so many programs. Right. And sometimes we don't even know what's in our backyard because we just all over the place. So my name is Oscar Pena. First generation born out here. My parents originally migrated from Nicaragua, Managua, which is in Central America. My mother came out here during the time of the Contras, with the Sandinistas and all. I try to give that background because that was what was happening during, in them times in the 70s and 80s with the Reaganomics, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of Nicaraguans had came up here to the West Coast, particularly in San Francisco. And San Francisco was kind of like that hub where everybody would connect and meet up with each other, so Latinos were coming from all different places and seeking refuge because of, the politics and the society in their country. So I'm the first generation in my family to be born out here in the States, born and raised in San Francisco, particularly in the Mission District, My son will be the second generation, born out here in this country. And so, as growing up in the mission, it was real tough. You know what I mean? Trying to navigate. My parents didn't know much about the United States, and the educational system, and what was out there in the mission was just, not as much resources as we see today. So that a lack of resources and services, that's what draw my attention to get into the streets, right? Particularly I started joining the gangs and began to learn how to deal with the streets, and got caught up, start selling dope and learning all that gang banging and different mentality, different lifestyle, but at the same time it kind of gained me up a little bit because I was able to understand how to navigate through the streets and be able to understand, right, what our youth today is going through. Back then it was real more challenging. So that's what I grew up around for years, in and out of juvie, hit the county jail, but I didn't hit prison, for whatever reason. God found fit, what I'm saying? He found that I wasn't suitable for prison, because it gets a little tougher for us as Latinos. It becomes more political, that you have to really switch sides and choose sides, you know what I'm saying? When you go into prison, becomes a whole different ball game when it comes with gangs. So I was blessed to not see that, but at the same time, I was able to understand what was at stake and learn from my trials and errors. And from there, after years of going through, a lot of mistakes and all, and getting caught up in the system, I finally, was able to listen and sit down and kind of tap into some of my folks that I grew up with. As one of my folks actually that came home, my boy Perry, he came home from doing 10 years at YA, and he started putting me on about what was in the community as far as like case management. I'm like, yo, what's that? And he's telling me he serves the youth and he helps them out and this and that. I was already tapping in with Jack from Omega, you know what I'm saying? And that was kind of like my introductory more into understanding what's in the streets, to as far as reaching out, because my folks always told me, hey, Oscar, you seem like a community activist. And at the time, I didn't know what the heck was that. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is that? I'm just trying to get my high school diploma and GED because I had dropped out from hitting the streets. And I didn't care about that. I was making a lot of money. I was like, man, I don't need no GED, high school diploma. Shoot, I can make somebody's paycheck in one day. That's how much money I was making, pulling all night. And this was back then when crack, dope, coke, all that was popping off. I mean, it's somewhat it, but you was able to make that type of money back then, then you can't do that today. You know what I'm saying? So all these youngsters trying to make that money, it was different back then. It was a whole different era, different generation, different type of money that was being pumped out into these. Again, that's coming from the Reaganomics, right? Just say no, right? That whole campaign, right? All the dope being pushed into black and brown neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an 80s babies, you know what I'm saying, and grew up in the 90s, you know what I mean, learning the streets. So from there, I'm tapping in with Jack. I'm tapping in with Omega. And from there, being committed and just listening. I'm not always about talking, because oftentimes people get caught up and always wanted to talk. And, I could tell the youngsters something, maybe, let me up in there, Jack. I could tell them something. It's not about that all the time. It's about really sitting down with yourself and reflect and listen on to what they're going through. Oftentimes, as us as adults, right, we're doing great work, but sometimes we lack in listening. We have to listen. And that's what I began to start doing. I started listening to their issues. I gave them my ear. You feel me? I gave them that space. Like, yo, go ahead. Let's talk about you, what you going through. And from there, I built connections, right? So we was talking about building, right? Relationships. Because off top, they're not gonna allow you to just, trust you. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, who is this dude coming up in here? Is he really here for me? Is he trying to connect? Is he trying to provide resources? Or he's just some other dude that just want to get his shine on? And often I'm not even looking for that, So from there, Jack, of course, I started networking. People started getting my name and number and all. Next thing you know, I get a job offer. This was back in 2008, right, with CJCJ, Center on Juvenile Criminal Justice. And that was actually my actual first job as a case manager. And I loved it. I mean, it was great. You know, I began to understand the process of dispositions and along with the work, you know, you got to document stuff, right? And oftentimes people don't like to do that type of work. They just want to go out in the field and all, but we have to learn how to document stuff and how to learn that language and that system, right? In order to keep getting funding and things of that nature. So that was something that I had to educate myself around. So as I get the job, I also get myself back into college. I got my high school diploma. From getting my high school diploma, right, I began to go into college right away at City College of San Francisco. And I wanted to get a major in criminal justice because I want to understand the justice system, the so-called justice system, how laws are being, you know, created and delivered and being implemented, you know what I'm saying? And how they think and how they're trying to plot on our people. So I'm like, I have to learn that system. So I got my degree, my associate's degree in the administrative of justice. But because I was at City College of San Francisco for so long, I was literally there for 6 straight years that I ended up getting 2 other degrees that I didn't even know I qualified for because of all the credits that I had. So I got a degree in humanity and arts and social behavior science, right? In addition to administrative justice and my high school diploma, all at City College of San Francisco. While I was there, I also got involved with, clubs, student clubs. You know, I got involved with the Muslim Student Association. In 2008, I became a Muslim. I took my Shahada also, right? So a lot of things were happening in my life in 2008. That's when I stopped, you know what I'm saying, living that lifestyle, stopped using drugs and everything, you know, no more smoking weed, drinking, all that. Ended up getting married, you know what I mean? And so I'm maturing. I'm going through this transition in my life. So from there, I began to learn about student body government. So I became a senator, and from there I ended up going for becoming the president of the student body campus, right, at City College San Francisco, at the main campus at Ocean. So I'm learning politics. Now I'm learning how to sit at the table, how to be diplomatic, how to listen to people. Again, I was going back to, listening to people and listening to concerns and seeing what's happening at the college level and being able to advocate and sit down with the chancellor and the presidents and vice chancellors, right? And be able to create and collaborate and do things for the people, but politics is a whole nother game that I really didn't like too much because it's really cutthroat and everyone got their hands in their pockets with each other and trying to pull out money and trying to, get into positions, right, for self motivational things, not for to help people out. So politicians, they just looking out for themselves. They're like, oh, look at me and vote for me and I can get this passed. But in reality, they don't give some of them really don't give a damn about our people. You know what I'm saying? So even when we go into these votings and all, just be mindful, be cautious, and look at people's actions. People always make false promises. So I learned a lot of that being a student body president for 2 straight years. So from there, transferred to San Francisco State, got there. I wanted to get my degree, my bachelor's degree in administration of justice, but it was impacted. So then I went into Latino studies because I wanted to learn more about me, my culture, my people. And San Francisco State's one of the greatest universities, right, that can actually give you a degree in ethnic studies, where you can get a degree in Africana studies, Native American studies, Asian American studies, and Latino studies before it was Raza studies, right? But Rasa studies wasn't really recognized at other universities when people wanted to go get their masters and further their studies. So they changed it to Latino studies. So I began to learn more about, our people along with the African American community and population of how we're filling up these jails, but also understanding my culture and understanding what was happening and from historical aspect, like for example, going back as the Zoot Suit riots to all the way to modern times, right? So that helped me to broaden my understanding. And then after that, also get involved with student body clubs and traveling a little bit. As I was also a president, I was able to travel and go to different conferences and build network, So I learned a lot about networking. It's always about networking, right? Just like what we're doing on this platform. We all networking, you know what I'm saying? Just like what you do, John Henry, with the program, right? It's all about networking. And so that's what I try to teach like my son and youngsters, like, hey, go get that person's number or his business card, and because you never know, you might need that contact later on or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So from there, get my bachelor's degree. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to stop. I want to continue on. Then I pursue my master's degree in education with the emphasis on equity and social justice. And I forgot to mention, along with my bachelor's degree of Latino studies, I also minored in race and resistance studies. That's also taught at San Francisco State. So from there, I was still doing the works as a case manager, but then I took a break from 2012 to 2019. Took a long break from there because I wanted to go back, get my degrees and study, but I was still in the community, still going with Jack, with Omega, going every twice a week, still connecting with them. But during that time, I began to also go inside the prisons. So that was through the Muslim chaplain, right? And so I would go to San Quentin, I would go to Soledad prison, I would go to Susanville prison, CMF, which is Vacaville, Solano, right, and YA. So I'm in YA and doing all the work. Yeah. I'll put my content. Yeah. So from there, I began to also listen, right? Listen to the people that were locked up, and as they were locked up, you have to understand the different dynamics that are going on about why they're being incarcerated, or how they're going into group homes, or the home is broken. You know what I'm saying? Where there's probably one parent involved, or maybe they don't have any parents. So I'm listening on the inside, and then I'm also getting the insight on what services are being provided in these prisons, in these institutions, right? Not much. And that's why, going back to what our sister before us, right, was talking about, the 10 toes in. I love what she's doing, right? Yes, she's absolutely great what she's doing, and that's amazing. We need more of that, because a lot of the people who are coming home, they're not ready for society. They don't even know how to use a phone, how to use ATM, because the prison, right, CDCR, right, they fail on providing that R within CDCR, right, which is correctional, right, CDCR, correctional, CDCR, I forgot, but the R means for rehabilitation. And rehabilitation, they're not doing that. They're not providing that in the prisons. They got outdated programs within the computers, right, and technology. They're not preparing them how to be financially stable, how to save. Like, they lacking so much. That's why you see a big turnaround, right, of people come home, they go back inside, right, and not providing them a smooth transition coming home. There's a few great stories, but the majority, they're not ready for that. So these programs are very important. So I got back working as a case manager in 2019. I got offered the job working with Hunters Point family with the Reset Justice Collaborative program. And so with that, I wanted to share my slides if I can. Let me see. Share screen. Yes. So I'm going to show you some slides so y'all can go along. Can y'all see that? Let me know if y'all can see that.
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it.
Okay, great. So again, this is what I normally pitch when I go inside the community. So within Hunters Point family, I work with Reset Justice Collaborative. That's the overall services that we provide. And I'll break it down real quick. So what is it? So we partnered up with 5 organizations. So one is being Chalk, BACR, Samoan Community Development Center, Hunters Point Family, where I'm working at, Horizons, which is in the Mission, and 5 Keys, which basically is all over San Francisco, inside the county jails as well. So what we do is that we bring, right, deep expertise, right, and people who kind of got an understanding of what the justice system is, right? And so as we're all collaborating, right, and these are the impacted communities within San Francisco that we're providing these wraparound services, but we have to collaborate. So oftentimes we get caught up with organizations, CBOs, and they're like me, and chasing funding, right? And then I understand they say that, oh, I don't want to duplicate services. But at the end of the day, we're not duplicating services. At the end of the day, if you're going to, it could be two case managers working with one person. We're like, okay, look, you take care of the courts and I take care of the school. We work together. We should wrap each individual, right, with just services. But what happens is that CBOs, they start getting all like, well, no, I don't like collaborating. Well, that's what we do. We collaborate. So I can go on and on, but that's what we do, right? And so understand the culture around that. Understand the education piece and the workforce. You got to know what's out there to connect them, right? So we work with the age population of 14 to 24, and we only work with high-risk youth, right? So if we know that, okay, you just got arrested and it's your first time, we wouldn't really take you into our program, because this is mainly for those who keep going in and out of the system. So we're like, okay, that person's potentially high risk, right? Sometimes I try not to say that word around. They be like, I ain't high risk, because they got a negative, a stereotype around that term, right? So again, then once that's the population, juveniles and young adults. We work with the TAPE population. So what we're seeing is that a lot of the problem is within the African Americans, Latinos, Pacific Islanders, right? And we're seeing that all these neighborhoods that I just mentioned, right, including the Tenderloin, Fillmore, Potrero Hill, Bayview, Sunnydale, Malcolm, going on and on, right, the Mission, they're all dealing with some type of level of low income, right, wages and living in these projects in the hood, right? And we're seeing right now a big problem of poverty, and so and also underserved neighborhoods, right? Even though we might have a lot of programs and services, but they're still underfunded, not enough money, right? You still go to some programs, outdated computers, outdated programs, right? There still needs to be more money and more investment, because at the end of the day, the politicians, they're not looking at this as a crisis. You have to look at this as a crisis, right? If you don't see it as a crisis and you only see if this was if all what I just mentioned was only on white people, then the politicians will actually pay attention and say, oh, this is a crisis. We have to address the problem. But because it's people of color, they're not going to address it in such way that it's a crisis. They'll moderate it. They'll okay, we got enough money, and create these little tent cities that we're seeing in San Francisco or even in LA, right? That they're trying to somewhat contain the problem, but they're really just trying to provide it. But man, build more buildings. Why is it that we still see skyscraper buildings, right, that are apartments and studios being rented out for like $2,000-$3,000, right? Like, give them to the people who really need it. Again, we got to pay attention where the money's going, who's pumping the money, and the real actual problem, what they're trying to solve at. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a low educational system, very horrible, where our kids are barely getting educated. That's why they're not even getting college prepped, right? I was one of them. I'm a product of that. I was not ready for college. I had to prepare my own self, right? So many of these youth, they're not prepared to go to college. That's why you'll also see a lot of schools right now, especially with the pandemic that just hit. They just gave a whole bunch of credit out to a lot of youth that were in high school. And so, okay, look, if you didn't do your work, no problem. We'll give you 10, 15 extra credits, and we'll match that from what you got last year. Oh, okay, you graduated. I had a lot of my clients that graduated, right? And they're like, Oscar, I did it. And I was happy, but at the same time, I was like, bro, they just passed you. You're not even ready to go to a 4-year college. And that's messed up. You got to go through a community college before you can even look at a 4-year college. Meaning, like, even if you want to go to Morehouse, a black university, or you want to go to Harvard or anything like that, Stanford, right? You can't go into that because that school did not prepare you for that. They failed you in reality, right? And they ain't tripping on that, right? The schools, they're just worried about numbers, right? So again, as we're living in these neighborhoods, they're impacted by trauma, a lot of shootings, a lot of over policing, a lot of drug use, domestic violence. We can go on and on and on. This is what our youth is dealing with. They are traumatized, right? So you have to understand that in order to do the work, right? There's a lot that's going on with our youth. So then the implementation of services that we provide is that immediately once we identify this person's a high risk and there's a referral process, I'll share that with you in a minute, then we're able to say, okay, cool. Then we can connect them with somebody like myself or somebody else, right? We also got women on the team and we want to connect them with the right person, right? That can build with them, build that trust, build that relationship, right? Also, they'll be going out and connecting, collaborating with the attorneys. In some cases, be able to update the probation officer in the courts and this and that. So immediately services start going, right? They're implemented. And we're also partnering with different various resources, whether it be for jobs or funding or getting able to pay some of their restitution funds. If there's a barrier for him or her getting off probation, we want to make sure we provide support around that so they can get off probation if that's what's hindering them, right? So we also provide various types of intensive case management. And so how it works is that you'll get the referral link, then again, like I said, after referrals, we see, they have to answer these questions and then we'll see if they are fit. Then boom, immediately we send them out to a case management at one of those 5 agencies that I mentioned, those sites. And then immediately we'll begin to work and we'll start building. And immediately what we're going to do is build relationship. So I'll take them out to eat. I'll take them out to a game or something. At the time we had tickets to everywhere. Alcatraz, Golden State Warrior game, Sacramento Kings. We took some kids out to Pismo Beach and rode the ATVs. So we do a lot of incentives, a lot of mentoring. We get involved a lot, right? So that's one piece of that, right? And last but not least, what I'll say is that, like I said, I go inside the prisons, I go into YA. In addition, I also have starting up a nonprofit organization called TIATS, and that's the Institute of Transformative Scholarship. What that is basically it's a program service for our folks who are incarcerated. And as they're coming home, we want to provide a smooth transition. We also provide them with knowledge and education through non-religious, but also religious as well, through Islam. And we provide that type of level of information and then be able to be aware of substance abuse and mental health, because that's also a big key factor of why people are going back in. So that's something I do on the side as well, and support my friend with the Motivate to Help Others. That's another program that I'm working with. We're currently trying to create this curriculum. I have case managers. He provides a platform where it's free workouts, Motivated to Help Others. It's free. Me and my son, we go and work out. During the COVID, people were gaining weight, and you got to stay fit during these times. You got to stay healthy, eat right. I began to notice I was gaining a little bit of weight. I started hitting the gym. I started hitting, right, whatever he was doing, telling me to do, boom, I'm on it, and start building, right, myself and getting healthy, and in addition to having my son on that. So yeah, I'll stop right there.
Phenomenal. See, listen, this is why I was waiting for you. See, y'all out there don't know. I've been trying to get my brother Oscar on here for a minute, right? And I always tell community, we hear both sides of the conversation. We always support our Black and brown community, our Black and brown businesses, because the struggles that our Latin brothers go through are the same struggles that we have. Might be a language difference, might be some other differences. But, when you look down at the overall issue when it comes to equity, incarceration, education, we always seem to fall right in between the slots. And sometimes we just a couple of different percentages apart. But, phenomenal work. See, and this is the kind of work that's going on. And I'm glad community is able to see this, right? Because I've been doing this with Oscar. We've been doing this for many, many years behind the walls. And a lot of times the community's like, well, what are y'all talking about? What are y'all doing? Who's talking to the youth? And what y'all just heard here, this testimony of this good brother right here is phenomenal. See, when we always talk about it, don't matter where you finish at, right? It ain't how you started, where you finish, where you at. And his testimony of being on the streets, going through what he went through to get the master's degree, to go through the ultimate, and then come back and bless the community, right? And Oscar is very powerful, very, very powerful individual, right? And this is why I wanted him here tonight, because it's a lot of stuff I want to cover, but I ain't going to go through all of it. But we always say we have to see it to believe it. I don't know what's going on with this computer. It's doing something weird again. Y'all excuse me. But Oscar, see, the imagery is everything. And I think in our community with all of the violence and what's going on with the males of the community missing. See, what I mean by powerful, Oscar, see this image of you and your son there, and you said second generation. You see what I'm saying? This is what leadership look like, right? And we talk about having a strong father, strong males in the community, strong leaders, you know what I mean? People that have discernment, morals and ethical values and things of that nature, man. This is what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? To see this brother here with his son. You get what I'm saying? Out in the community, helping others. Because I always tell people to help yourself, you got to help others. They always ask me, well, what are you doing for yourself? Helping others? Because the more we help others, we help ourselves. Because every day we still dealing with the coping. We're dealing with the drama. We're dealing with the PSD. We still dealing with where we came from. But when you do that work through people, you're doing that work through yourself. And it's just very powerful. And then you have your young son there getting all of this wisdom, getting all this information. He get to see that positive image because we see when he get older, he going to say, when you talk about your father, what did you see? You get what I'm saying? You're going to say, man, he going to be talking about, I see the love, the compassion for other human beings. Right. And that's how our young generation need to see what that looks like. Right. How to deal with another man, how to be able to have those difficult conversations. And you doing that, Oscar. And that's why I wanted you to come on. I know it's been a time to get you here, but wow, what a way to bless the people and the work you're doing. And I just want to tap in on a couple of things. And Rico's out there putting some great information in there that we definitely need to talk about. But you said something that I think is very, very important. And I want community to hear this because I always say as the adults, we are the ones that's failing our community. We are the ones that are failing our young people. And when you talked about these nonprofits and these CBOs and these community leaders, right, and they don't understand their influence. And when they can't work together and they can't support each other, right, and we got all this violence in our community, people killing and things happening, but we asking our young people to put the guns down, stop doing this, stop doing that. But as adults, as community-led organizations, we can't even work together. And I see it all the time. So what you're talking about is very, very real and it's very true. And I just really want community to hone in on that. We cannot be asking young people to put their guns down, stop doing violence, and forgive each other, work with each other, have some compassion and humility. And as organizational leaders, we can't do it. And that's a big problem in this nonprofit world. You know, nobody wants to work with it. Everybody want to do their own thing. All this instant gratification, right? And nobody's being innovative. Nobody's bringing nothing new to the table. Everybody's just, coming up with their easy templates to get the data, the information to say this works. And I just have to say, Oscar, you can answer this differently, but I want to hear from you because I don't think these models is working, right? I think we've got too complacent with our models, right? This curriculum, these violence prevention models, some of the mental health models and what we're doing in our community, it's not working. But on the flip side of it, people are complaining about being innovative and trying something new. I'm at a point where I'm like, I'd rather try something new that we could alter and make fixes than to keep putting money into these models that don't work. We just had a 16-year-old young girl killed up here. There's a 14-year-old girl killed in Chicago. Our young babies in the community are getting killed for these violence prevention programs that don't work, right? And then the other thing, I'll let you jump in on that, but I wanted to also say, how do we change this model of, with reentry, right? And you hit something. I know your organization deal with high-risk youth, 14 to 24. But again, I think a lot of the problems in our community is we only serve those in custody or those in trouble, right? What about the kid who's about to get in trouble? How do we create these models where we include the kid who don't have a probation officer, who haven't been to juvenile, or whoever been in the correctional system, right? How do we get the money to help them? Because, like you said, when it comes to funding, especially when it comes to our males, there's a lot of money with reentry, especially here in San Francisco. Right? There's a big millions and millions of dollars going to reentry, right? But there's no programming for the single father out here that's about to get in trouble. There's no programming for the young male that's out here struggling, maybe having some of those issues in his household to get services and access, right? Juvenile log cabins been down. I've been on these commission meetings, and I'm saying, why do we have to wait to give our community services once they're in trouble? Right? we have to look at the proactive models, right? Because all of the models out there are reactive. You shoot a gun, you get in trouble, you go to jail. We got services for you, right? You're truant in school. We got services for you, right? It's always after the fact, right? We at a state right now where we need preventative. We need proactive stuff. How do we engage that kid that's about to go pull the trigger? How do we invest in that kid that's about to go do something that's going to put them in that situation behind walls? But there's no services for that, right? And that's why I'm on here advocating. I appreciate you and the work you're doing, advocating, because for the young males in our community, there is nothing. There is a desert of resources when we talk about our Black and brown young males, right? And we wonder why, we have these high violence and we have all this stuff going on. There's no services. Right? Where is the counseling services for conflict management, right? None of that stuff's happening, right? I mean, we do the work when we with them, teaching them stuff, but where is it at in the community, right? How do we teach these young people when you see another brother that looks like you, that you don't know where he's from? It's okay to just say, hey, how you doing? Instead of why you looking at me crazy, right? Or when we have a conflict, it's okay to disagree, but we can have a conversation. You get what I'm saying? Like those are the models that I'm all about, right? Because I'm like, I want to jump in on these different conversations, different people, man. But when I'm talking to them about it, it's like, I'm confused. Where are we going? We talking about the same stuff that don't work. And I'm sick of this model, and we're going to have a conversation on one of our Sundays about it. But I'm sick of this. Everything has to be arts and music to deal with reentry, right? Or community support. It's cool. I get it. That's our culture. People like music and all that. But my thing is, man, when do we bring the real resources to these young men in the community? We can't just bring a rap party or a pop-up event. Everything is a party. I'm like, let's get the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Let's get me, you, Oscar, Corey, Damon, and a few other brothers to come in here, and let's have a real mental health conversation with these young brothers. Let's have that type of event. But when you look at all the events, it's all party, rappers, let's go have fun. And we're not getting to the real problem in our community. That's why I think it's powerful what Darlene's doing and what you're talking about, because we need that, Oscar. We need the real conversation. All this BS, and I think I always say this, and Rico always talk about this. We always talk about this. Everybody has great intentions. You know what I'm saying, to do this work, but the impact sucks, man. When you look at the results, the results suck. So who's going to step down and say, I love the intentions, I love your thought process, I love the motivation, but the numbers, the impact, the results is just not happening. We got to switch that. We got to keep an open forum where we can change some of these models. And then I know Rico had a question that he had put in there that I think is very important that you could probably answer too. Is we're talking about the support, and he was saying, should there be more direct funding for the people rather than the program? Because we know these programs, they ask for all of the money, but when it comes to the impact and what it's actually doing for the community, sometimes it's not reaching there, or it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
So I want to share a little bit, kind of like what you said. I'm going to try to answer it through these slides, because this is what I do when I go inside. I do presentations and stuff. So the key is to understand what our youth is going through, right? And maybe I could play this clip. It could play. Let me see if it goes on. Yeah, is there loyalty in the street life?
If you truly think that there's loyalty in street life, you're in an illusion. You're in a very, very deep illusion, because at the end of the day, it's every man for himself.
What I would tell kids that want to be a gang member and they see all the money and the girls and the fame, it's all a mirage. Your homies don't really care about you. You're in jail, you're sitting there with nothing. No soap, no hygiene, no deodorant, not even some toothpaste to brush your teeth. It all hits you. It's all a mirage. It's fake. They don't really love you. Your family loves you. They're the only ones that's really going to be there when it's all said and done,
Loyalty is non-existent in the gang. But active gang members will tell you otherwise. Active gang members use the word loyalty, and these kids feel really attracted to this lifestyle. Oh, wait a minute. There's loyalty here. But there's not. So the truth is that loyalty within the gang world is just a word. It's a word to carry it on a stick.
So we can use that word loyalty not only in the gang presence, I mean the gang act, the situation, but also loyalty for those who are doing the work, right? So again, you have to be loyal to who you're trying to serve. Are you trying to serve your own soul, yourself, right? Whereas you want to be recognized, you want to be fame, you want to have fame and shine, right? So are you loyal to that? Then that's what you're going to get. If you're loyal to, like, for example, like I got my degrees, right? I got educated. I'm still learning, right? But I'm going back into the neighborhoods where help is needed. I'm not escaping, right, poverty. I'm not escaping the hood. I'm actually having to go back, right? So when you get these opportunities, and when, as we're all God-fearing people, when God blesses you, you need to go back and do the work, right? On all levels, whether it's, like you said, preventive, and also those who are already in the system. We have to reach them at all levels. We gotta capture everybody. You see what I'm saying? Because this is how I was, like I was talking about my background, right? Again, it's me with Floyd Mayweather, a couple other, pimps and other rappers and all. So, that was my lifestyle. This was my mentor right here, right? She was the one who said, Oscar, I see you as a youth advocate, right? And I didn't even know what that meant, but she always stuck by me. So you have to have a mentor. We have to be mentors to these youth, meaning that it's not just always talking and telling them, hey, you should do this. Yes, that's part of it. But the other part is to stick with them, right? Having to follow through with them, right? Whether they're not in the system or they are in the system. We have to reach those populations, right? And so then we got to understand their struggles. We got to understand, the struggles of our ancestors. Many times when I tell, me and my son, we went down to Atlanta last year, and I drove to Alabama. We went to the lynching museum, right? We got to see all the people that were lynched and hung, and the testimonies and all of that. But then I also tell my son, right, that we're Latinos. We also were lynched here in this state. Not just alone in this country, but here in state, in California, mainly in San Jose. A lot of Latinos were lynched, right? So you have to understand your struggle, understand your ancestors, understand also that you come from emperors and kings and queens, and you had a society, and you are powerful. We have to instill hope. We have to instill power, right? And so again, going back, this is where it's needed at. The work needs to go into the young kids and to different neighborhoods, right? You got Omega right there, what Jack's doing, right? Look how Jack, I remember when last time we saw Jack, right? He had a jacket on that the logo in the back of his jacket said "Stop the Violence," but it was fading out. And I remember Brother Carr, he pointed out, he said, look at that thing, is fading out. And Jack still wears that jacket where it says "Stop the Violence," right? Because he's putting in work. Right. And oftentimes I love about Jack, he's real humble. He's like, I don't want no award. I don't want no, even when he was given the award by the mayor, he didn't even want to go to that. That's humbleness. He's not looking for fame. You see what I'm saying? That's powerful. That's the type of people we need to see. So we have to go into these places, into the prisons, and to also, juvenile, but also, like you said, John Henry, we got to go into the neighborhoods, the schools, right? The community organizations where the kids are not going into the system. We want to prevent them, of course. And you have to have certain type of people to work in order to connect with them. And sometimes when I do connect with brothers who come home from prison, they be like, yo, Oscar, man, yo, where I want to go talk to the youth, this, that. And I tell them this. I said, that's great. You need to work on you right now. And don't think just because you did 30, 40 years, I mean, that was hard. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes because of your detachment of so many years of doing inside the prison, some of y'all don't know how to connect with the youth out here, to even how to talk to them, how to deliver message and all that. So we have to, right, be that kind of person that filters these things. You see what I'm saying? Because we don't want them to be looking like this inside the prison, that's what's filling up the prisons and the jails and the juveniles and the YAs and all of that, right? We have to rise up and stand up. And how do we do that? By being there for them, by supporting them, by understanding where they need at. Sometimes my phone is ringing at 12 o'clock in midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I remember I received a phone call over the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Oscar, you busy? It's my day off. I'm like, yeah, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, I just want to tap in on to make sure that my girl gets a job or something, or she needs a job. Or, hey, Oscar, I'm hungry. I had one kid call me the other day, Oscar, I'm hungry, man. I ain't got nothing to eat. I had to stop what I had to do and go pick him up and get him something to eat. And I told him, thank you for calling me. He's like, hope I wasn't bothering you. I said, nah, man, this is my duty. I had to stop what I was doing and go get him something to eat, because that's important, that he makes sure, because you don't want him to overthink that, like, I'm hungry. And so that hunger can turn into a rage, can turn into like, I'm going to go rob somebody because I'm hungry. Nobody don't want to give me something to eat. You know what I'm saying? So you have to pay attention. So when we look at the roots, we're telling them this is where you come from. This is who you are. So we have to educate our people, right? Like, this is a powerful poem that I love in Lakesh, right? This is going back to what you were asking about. Like, how do we serve the people? How do we get them to see themselves, right? Well, this is how they see themselves, by seeing people like me and you, John Henry and Jack and others, that we're out here. Look, we were in the streets and now we're going back and helping you. So the poem goes, tú eres mi otro yo, you are my other me. Si te hago daño a ti, if I do harm to you, me hago daño a mí mismo, I do harm to myself. Si te amo y respeto, if I love and respect you, mi amo y respeto yo, I love and respect myself. So now we're instilling this mirror image, right? That I see you, you see me. So then that means that what? That let me not harm you. Let me love and respect you, because I see you as me. You're the mirror. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're trying to do. And that's why I always say, when I was doing my master's and getting my degree, that you see a lot of white people that want to become teachers, and they're always set to become teachers. It's very hard and very rare you're going to see a lot of African Americans and Latinos that are able to teach in public school settings. That's why you'll see a lot of them in the charter schools or private schools, but not in a public school setting, because they have an agenda to push. Their textbooks, their curriculum, all of that, right? So then that also does something to their mind, where they're saying, oh man, I only see a white teacher. So then what does that do mentally? That says that you're not good enough to teach. You're not good enough to be a teacher, right? This is only for white people. This is only for that type of platform, those type of people, right? And you have to go get your teacher's credentials and this. And man, I even tried. I was thinking about going that route, of getting my teacher's credentials. But after hearing a couple of my boys who are Latinos who try to get their degree, get their credentials, they were like, yo, man, I spent $200 and I failed it. They took it again, because every time you take the credential, you fail, you have to pay $200. And he said by the second, third time, he found out that this thing is rigged. And he went back and he studied his butt off. You know what I'm saying? Paid the money. He's like, this stuff is rigged, bro. This is not for us. They don't want us in a public school. They don't want us to teach, right? So we have to instill of them becoming warriors and scholars, not a soldier. Oftentimes I always say, yo, I'm a soldier. I'm going to be a soldier. No, a soldier only takes orders. You need to be a warrior, right? That you need to disseminate what type of information is going to be good for your community and harmful for your community. That's a warrior. And a scholar, right? To continue to read, to write. Just because of the pandemic, right? All the schools rolled out all these laptops. Oh, here it goes, laptop for everybody. And I was like, oh, great, let me get a laptop. But what that did, right now, everybody's like, hey, we want our kids to go back to school. We want them to gain education, right, physically, right, in person, right, because we want to stop the achievement gap. The achievement gap is not going to stop. It's going to continue to grow. And even them rolling out the laptops and them trying to bring them back into school, and they're saying we want to stop it or prevent it, it's going to continue to grow, because, again, they're not looking at it a crisis. If you look at Willie Brown Middle School, you know what I'm saying? That's right there in the Bayview district, right? You look at those test scores, man, they're barely performing. African Americans are barely performing 5% in reading and math, when you got white and Asians performing over 70%. That tells you something. That our people is not good enough? What, you think that they can't understand? No, there's a lot going on that they don't want to learn from you because you don't look like them. Second, you're not speaking their language. You're not connecting with them, right? Three, they don't have the resources like some of these parents do to go pay $200, $300, $400 at an after school program and be able to get up to par and get AP classes and this, that, get ready for college prep. No. So there's some serious achievement gaps happening, but also serious work that we all have to gather ourselves and work together. And it only takes a few to that. Let me get through a few more slides. So one of the things that our professor, Jeff Duncan Andrade, says, you got to have this concept of half full, half empty, right? So which one are you, right? And then that goes back into reflecting who you are and what you have and where you come from. I remember, I think you was there one time, John Henry, we were in juvenile hall at Omega. And I said, and I go to the one of our African American, black folks, and I'm telling them, hey, did you know that you come from kings and queens? There was kings and queens in Africa, right? The Songhai Empire, right? The amazing, right, dynasties and emperors that happened, Mansa Musa and these other people in Africa. And then he said, nah, man, our people was never kings and queens. That's a Europe thing. And then everybody started laughing, right? And I said, hold on, wait a minute. Don't laugh at this guy. It's not his fault that the school system taught him that kings and queens, right, only are from Europe. He didn't know that piece. We have to teach them. We have to train them because, again, right? So, again, which one are you? Half full, half empty. So if you appreciate the things that you have, then you will have full. But if you don't appreciate and you're not really tripping on what you got and all, then, yeah, you're going to always be empty and be depressed. Right. And so eventually we want to get them to get these degrees and certificates, because ultimately, I'll say this, it's not about chasing the degrees or certificates. I mean, erase all of that. I'm still going to be me, but I'm learning how to play the white man's game, right? The societal game, which is you need these credentials. You need this stuff in order to get into some of these doors and into some of these meetings. So we need to train our folks to be like, this is why this is important. It's not just merely so you can put on an application that you got a high school diploma or you got a degree. It's so you can play their game. They control the accreditation. They control the universities, who gets this degree or whatnot. And then eventually we have to do that. I just got back from the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? And I was at New York. I took my son to New York. We went all over New York. We went to Philadelphia. We went to Boston, Pittsburgh. And within New York, we went all the boroughs, right? We went to Queens, Harlem, Staten Island, Brooklyn, the Bronx. But when I went to Philadelphia, I got to see the Declaration of Independence and how they created this Constitution. And all it was, a bunch of white folks that got together and they broke off from the British colony. And when they got together, they created the Constitution. They created this document that said that they're going to be, right, America, United States of America, united, right? The 13 states, right? So I say to mention this, that they just got together and they created this document. And then they said, hey, we have to stick together because if the British captures any of us, we will get tried as treason, right? That they broke off and they wanted to do their own thing. They could actually get punished for that. So they said, regardless of if we like each other or not, we have to stick together. And so I found that very profound. I said, okay, you see, and then they created what? Their whole society, the whole system. So then we have to learn how to play that, but eventually have our own, eventually be able to be educated enough. They're like, look, man, we don't need your stinky universities, Harvard, Stanford. That's great. That's all. But don't think that that's all in all, right? We can have our, and that's why I commend, the African-American community that created Morehouse Black universities and this, that. But ultimately, they still, we still have to keep it updated and not just be content to what it is now, to make it more modern. I mean, not modern, but address a lot of the things that still needs to be addressed within those type of schools, right? Like, for example, math, trigonomics, how to read statistics and things like that, and they're tied into have to be able to correlate and have them understand those type of sciences with an understanding that they can relate to. It's all about relating the information, right? So again, you know, we want to see our youth shine. We want to see them in football or being able to, you know, learn, you know, how to defend themselves and be leaders. You know what I'm saying? And sit with scholars and sit with people that are very educated. You know, so the challenges that we're going to go through, you're going to have a few youth that they don't want to listen to you, but don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Know that, okay, you know, it's a serious test out there. So you gotta put out there to give them hope. You know what I'm saying? And still hope in them, right? And never give up. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that I can say that's what, and then from there, if we can find funding and we can come together and not be beefing over each other and be like, oh, well, you're getting paid more and more and this, that, or you guys got way more money and this, that. We got to push a lot of that stuff to the side, man, because we got issues. We got issues because we're still caught up in materialistic stuff. What kind of car you got and the car note? Well, look, man, finance is very important. Why are you buying some car that's way expensive and you know you can't afford that based on your income level? You can't afford it technically, but yet you want to still get that car to floss to be like, yo, look at me, I'm doing this. You got to learn how to manage your money. What can you afford within your income? And oftentimes I'm seeing a lot of our people doing too much. They're doing the opposite. They're buying cars and this and that, and then they're stuck in all this debt. And you barely making it, because working in a nonprofit organization, you barely even make enough. There barely even benefits in it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't got no retirements and this and that. And sometimes that's why you see a lot turnaround. People leave because they're like, yo, man, I ain't got no benefits over here. I got to find my own benefits and this and that. So there's a lot of factors, a lot of different layers. I can't go into them too much, but I give you a little glimpse what's happening, what we need to address, what we need to change. We can come up with our own, but gather a couple people who's really serious to do this work.
Powerful stuff. I know it's getting late. I know your young son is over there ready to eat. I'm gonna bring up Darlene, and we're gonna end tonight with a question. I don't even know what the question is, because you just, every time we do this, Oscar, you know it's powerful. So when I tell the people what we bring to the young people, this is the kind of education that our young people that we work with in this juvenile hall, they get. Brothers like me, brothers like Oscar, kicking that knowledge. We give them the game. Now, when they get it, we don't know when the light switches go turn on, but we give them the seeds, we give them the information. Right there, Oscar should be teaching. That's a professor right there. He just gave you all right there. That's a college course, community. This is the kind of information we need to put to our young people. Build them up. I like that model. Build them up and let them know who they are. The mirror perspective, right? We got to start looking at each other, how we love and deal with each other, especially with our young people, as this violence in our community has increased over this last year. I mean, it's been steady, but it seems to be increasing as we come out with all of the challenges that we are faced. I know it's been a long segment, but I just want to say this. I think my question is, can we fix the problem? You know, with all of the stuff that's going on with our CBOs, all the stuff that's going on with our elected officials, all the stuff that's going on in our schools, the violence in the community, the poor parenting. Can we fix it? The question is, can we fix the community issues? And do we have what it takes to do it? That's my question for the night.
Darlene, you want to take it away?
Yeah, what I can say is, as long as there's life, there's hope, okay? I'm one of those CBOs that I really wish the politicians and the old boys club would give us a chance, because that's what's happening. We're not receiving the funding, but we are boots on the pavement doing the work, even without getting a salary, still doing the work, still working 10 to 12 hours, making sure our people are taken care of. You know, I think it just needs to be a change in how things are done, because the money is given to the old boys club, whether it's dealing with CDCR, whether it's dealing in the community, it's the old boys club, because they feel that it's not a sinking ship, right? Us babies in the game, you know, they don't know. But if you see our record, if you talk to our people, you will know that we are making a difference. So I think that it can be fixed. We just need to have a different perspective.
There you
I
go.
agree with Darlene.
I think she said it. She said it perfectly. That's what I always say.
I'll just
poverty pimps of our community. We got to get rid of the poverty pimps of our community. And
but I want to say one thing that, like, I'm not saying that I wasn't trying to. Please don't think that I was trying to bash on any CBOs.
No.
Great. great
Not at all.
organizations out there, because I'm part of one, you know, and I love the work that we're doing. I love the work that you're doing too, Darlene.
Thank you.
I think nonprofit organizations are powerful when we also don't lose, right, the goal. The goal is to help and serve our people. The funding is the challenge. The funding is getting the proper funding support behind the work that needs to be done, because you cannot sustain people to do this work with a low minimum wage, or a wage that, like, you know what I'm saying, $20 to $30, and be like, oh wow, $30, but $30 is still not enough, especially us living in California, and especially in the Bay Area. So like, we have to really address that and push that to the politicians, have some serious talks. That's why today, when I was at the National Night Out, I'm networking with the, you know what I'm saying, public defenders and this, that, and the other, and like, yo, what's up? You know, let's work. And then also learn the model from other organizations, what they're doing, this, that. And then sometimes, you know, the epiphany might pop up where you can create your own, but it's not just only creating your own, but creating something unique, but work with those who are serious to do this work. You have to have a passion. Oftentimes we get people that get into this line of work and they only want to work with a paycheck, with a mindset. And that's fine. That's cool. Hopefully an epiphany will kick in within that person. But it's hard to kind of like, okay, I'm going to hire this person. He's passionate enough. But those are the type of people we want. Those are the people who can relate to our people and understand our people and serve them. You know what I'm saying? And still hope. So yes, it can be fixed. Yes, it can be done. You got to have hope. You got to have hope in this type of work. Otherwise, then you become hopeless. Otherwise, then you're going to be creating that narrative of hopelessness to others, and then it becomes toxic, and then they take that in and be like, yo, okay, I'm never going to make it out. Don't never talk like that. Don't think like that, and don't give that to anybody else. That's very toxic. You got to give them hope. You got to give them, tell them you could do it.
I think the biggest, and I totally agree with you, Oscar, but the biggest thing I know for me being the founder and executive director of 10 Toes In is just staying focused on the why, because you're going to come across folks where they started their organizations like me because they were passionate about the work, but then the money, the ego, the fame, it all consumes them, right? So I get up every day being humble, because I know as quick as God gave it to me, he will take it away from me. Yes. So I'm here. 10 Toes In is not my organization, even though I created it. 10 Toes In is the people's organization. So I fly under the radar, right? My people will tell you, I push them to the forefront, right? But I'm the one woman show working behind the scenes without a salary. And I neglected to say that I'm also a real estate agent of 19 years. So I just held a home buyer seminar for my 10 Toes In brothers and sisters, because my thing is you need to become official stakeholders in the community that you live in. Yes. Right. So when you talk about that money and not putting it inside of a car and that type of thing, that's what I'm trying to do. My thing is I'm going to be the reentry real estate agent, right? To make sure that they build their own bank to do whatever they want to do with it.
Man,
you in LA, right?
Powerful stuff right there. Y'all heard it. 10 toes in, or you can have 10 toes on the ground, boots on the ground. You need people doing the work. I'm sorry, Oscar. I'm gonna do it a little different than you. I'm just gonna say if it don't apply, let it go, right? For all those organizations, because we gonna hold them accountable here at both sides of the conversation.
Right.
A lot of these people playing with our people and faking and showing up, trying to be within us, trying to assimilate and say they're a part of our movement, but they really just using us for the resources to fatten their pockets. So I got to call them out. But if it don't apply to your organization, let it fly. We ain't talking about you. You ain't got nothing to worry about.
It's over here.
Right. But
right.
The conversation,
we are doing
good work. Accountable.
Like you, John Henry.
Exactly.
Appreciate you. You're doing good work. Darlene doing good work. We're all doing good work, you know, and we just got to work together. I love that. You're in LA.
I'm in LA. Yeah. Yes, so but look, I have no problem coming to the Bay because I love San Francisco.
I'm gonna come to LA. I come to LA a lot, so I'm gonna come network with you.
We definitely need to network for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Henry. This was awesome.
Oh no, this was phenomenal. Y'all gave a lesson tonight. 2 hidden gems, man. I knew y'all can handle it. And look, we already an hour and a half in this thing. And I just really appreciate y'all. And I just hope community really get to see what people that are in the community doing this work, what it really looks like. You see Oscar in the car with his son. It's dark. He was going to an event. This is the passion. See, these are the brothers that I work with. See, we passionate. We don't stop. We consistent. Right. You get what I'm saying? He just left one event, going to another event, and then just gave the rest of his time to both sides of the conversation in the community. Everything we do is for the community. Everything we do. And I like what Darlene said, because I'm a believer in that. Yes. Me being the executive director of my organization, I always tell our volunteers, our team, if you're coming in here for you, or you're coming in here to make somebody happy, this is probably the wrong place. We're here to bless the people. We want to bless the community. We can't get into like, this is for me. I want to make you look good. Like, you got to be really about the community. And a lot of times people ain't. They say they about the community, but when you test them and you go through the challenges, you'll see the ones that's still standing there that's really about the community. Get out the individualism. Get out of the stuff you're trying to do for yourself. Make sure it's all driven for the people. And that's what I want to keep pushing. Let's do it for our people. Let's uplift our people. Let's educate our people. Let's intentionally give them the education and the information. All tonight, all I heard was education and resources. That's the slogan. Education and resources to our people. Be willing to do the work. Keep doing the work. Keep fighting. Keep pushing. Hope is alive. We can get there if we get more people to think alike, work together, collaborate. Not, compete. I'm always telling people, stop competing and let's collaborate. Let's really do something to impact our people and leave a real sustainable mark on our community. Stay open, community. I tell my young people that I mentor, stay open, be willing to change, be willing to be innovative. Let's step out the box. Let's get out of the box of comfortness and let's get in the box of innovation and trying something new. It's okay to fail. As community, we have to be okay to fail, because right now what's going on in our community is failing and it's not working anyway. So let's be open to new ideals. Let's be open to new organizations, new people, and elders. I'm always going to say it to my elders in the community, be willing to pass the torch. Sometimes we hold on to the power. We hold on to the resources. We hold on to the information too long. And we don't want stale information.
Call that leader, leader shift. So shift into another leader position. Don't stay in that. So leadership.
And can I say that you only fail if you don't try, right? Everything is either a lesson or a blessing.
Right. I learned that from my big, it's my teacher.
Yeah, phenomenal. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Before we end this call, I'm going to let everybody know this Thursday we will have another educational Thursday where we will continue to intentionally educate our community. We have a phenomenal brother that's going to kind of educate community about what's going on with DACA, some of the immigration stuff, powerful stuff that we need to know. Black and brown community, we are the same. We need to collaborate and work with each other. Your struggle is my struggle is your struggle. The way we get out of it is we work together, uplift each other, support each other. And that's what we're going to keep doing here with this segment on Hidden Gems. We will continue to uplift our Black and brown businesses, as well as highlight these phenomenal people like Oscar and Darlene here that are doing positive things to impact our community positively. We're going to keep running these shows, running it up, because this is the best time of the week for me, just to hear positivity. All week we hear negative stuff. This show is always the excitement for me. You never know who's coming on, because it definitely is always good to just hear those positive stories, those testimonies, and those great businesses that are doing things to impact our people. So just love that. And then this Sunday, to all of our community families, we still have a few slots on. If you're a parent out there and you have some concerns, and you want to talk to community about bringing your kids back to school, some of the COVID rules, you want to have that conversation, please join us this Sunday for our Sunday conversation at 2 p.m. And then next Tuesday, we'll have another segment just like this here. If you know somebody in the community that's a Black and brown business and looking to get them some support, please have them come onto our platform so we can highlight them. We don't care where they are. Both sides of the conversation, everywhere. Y'all see we have people from Mississippi, New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, all over the place coming on our platform. We want to make sure that our people patronize our businesses to help them, because we know we have empowered them economically. They'll hire people that look like us. They'll give us the chance and opportunities that we need. So please do your part. Be the change. Go patronize your Black and brown business, your small business in the community. And to all of the allies, the ones out there saying they want to support the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black and brown community, Go out there, support one of those businesses, uplift them, sponsor them, reach out to Darlene, give a donation, help support. That's what allyship really looks like, not just putting out information and emails saying we support you. Real support comes with equity, and it comes with those dollars that we need to continue to move forward. So with that being said, thank you all for joining tonight. Phenomenal National Night Out community coming out, and our young dancers out there from Feline Dance House, man, they did a phenomenal job. And thank you, Oscar, Darlene, for giving up your time, coming on, hanging and being patient with us here at both sides of the conversation. We'll see all y'all on our next.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
And also thank the staff behind you, because you know there's people behind you too.
Off top, my team is
phenomenal.
Yeah, without my team, the both sides of the conversation, they know it's always love and praise. Off top, you already know.